What the hell? Okay, all right, that works. Sorry, guys. We have to start all of that over. OBS was not take. Hey, no, I don't even have you on. Give me a second. Okay, there you go. Now you're on. What the fuck? Okay, sorry about that.
Hello, hello,
You're
test,
on. You're
test,
on. You're
test.
fine. You're fine. Yes, you're fine. No, I don't know
Okay.
why, guys. OBS just was not taking our audio.
We were literally talking this entire time.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry about that. I don't know why the fuck that happened.
It's cursed. We can't stream.
Dear
This is
God. All
this is
right,
not a good
so
sign.
what we were saying before, let's just start this all over. So we'll just recap what we said before because originally the first stream that we did this in wasn't even properly announced as such. It started as just a regular chill stream, and then it just ended up being so much about Crackland, we just decided to rename the
Rename
entire
it.
thing. But just to recap the basics of what happened and like before, which this is all you really need to know to understand everything else we're going to talk about at this point. Crackland was it started as like a silly crossover type role play between us that started as Michie messaging me a joke, jokingly saying her character said something to mine in a sassy manner. My character being irritated, I was like, haha, he'd be so angry about that. So I jokingly responded back. The joke has not ended yet. We have not found the punchline.
Yep, now it's been 2 years and it's now just become its own thing. It's just evolved
Yes.
into its own thing at this point.
It was that's how it started. And it started as basically a crossover role play thing between our two worlds, her marked world, my seven sensitive baby world, whatever. And it started
Yeah.
as a crossover world. You know, neither world was very like heavily affected by each other. It was just
Uh-huh.
for fun and all of that. And then we did a time skip, and they came back, and then basically it went from being, oh, it's a joking crossover to role play to being, well, I guess now it's just its own alternate universe.
Yeah, now it's just an alternate universe where they've both just meshed together.
Yeah, it's like everyone keeps world hopping, and it's just everything's
Yeah,
merged
everyone,
together.
yeah.
Everyone's shipped with everyone, you
Which is so
know?
funny because that's not how it started either. And we openly said we hated it, and now it's crap, how can I make a person for you?
Yeah, it's just we just enjoy the pairing fun, and there's crack kids everywhere, and we're on like generation 5, nearing generation 6 at this point.
Oh yeah. And we are working slowly but surely. We're working on like little bobbleheads so we can make like one of those character maps so you like see his.
No, we're making family trees.
That's what I mean.
No, but
Family
character
trees.
maps imply something different.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, you're right. We're making family trees.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're making family trees. Slowly but surely, and I need to sketch more of those. But you know, um, will we ever get like actually get to a point where we can say we're finished with those bobbleheads? No, but anyway,
Not with the fact that everyone keeps breeding.
yes, but it's fine. Okay, so
All right. So we're gonna start.
yeah,
We
we're
don't remember
starting
where
with
we left off, but yeah.
we don't know where we left off, but we feel like a great place to start is Gabriel. Because that was, I'm honestly pretty sure Gabriel was the first crack kid, and man, we started off with a bang.
No, he was. He was
He was
because
the first.
yeah,
And
because Tybalt and Noel were the first ship. They were the
yeah,
first ones.
they were our first pairing that we had, and basically just that was the point where we're like, you know what, it's no longer a crossover episode, it's just literally its own thing, it's its own show at this point. Because you know, like in anime, you'll get like the crossover episodes that where everything kind of goes back to the status quo and no one's really affected by anything. Yeah, that's not what this is. That's
Yeah, yeah,
what it
yeah.
used to be.
Pretty much. Gabe happened, and the whole everything changed.
Yes, everything changed when Gabriel was born.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. So, um, when Gabe was born, he was actually a really fussy baby.
Yes, but wait.
And oh yeah,
Yes, he was a very fussy baby. And that was we got like we started to have this joke though where Gabe wouldn't cry when he was upset, or like he wouldn't cry at all mostly. He would, but not always. But most of the time he just screamed for
just
no reason
screaming.
other than just to scream.
So Tybalt and his now wife uh got like no sleep. And she has a very, very important job to do. And
Yes.
so she and her buddies had to go do this really important job. And she was like, "Hey Tybalt, can you stay home with the baby? Because it's my boy."
Yeah. Can you
And
babysit, please?
will you be it was more so, will you be okay if I leave? Because I have
Yes.
to leave. And Tybalt, being sleep deprived and irritated, was like, "Yeah, I got it. I
Yeah.
got it."
So we need
So
we need to lay out some like universe laws here so we can understand how they're about to be broken. But in the future. But the
yeah.
here's the thing too, because both of our worlds have mages, but they work differently.
Yes.
So her mages, there's only 7 mages. All of them are very powerful, and for like I think both of us have a general rule of if like you want it enough, it'll happen.
Yeah. But the
But
thing
like
is, you have to focus and want it enough.
yes. So she has her mages. My mage and hers are based on souls. So like when one dies, they're reborn in the next baby to take its first breath and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very reincarnation.
Mine, however, are genetic. So like my world has mages, and it's considered a. I say recessive gene, but damn, Crackland's just tested that theory forever now.
It's we'll blame the mixing of different bloods. It's
Yes,
just like, you know what,
we'll blame the mixing of totally different universe bloods.
Yeah, that's why it's like, so it's supposed to be a recessive gene,
Yes,
and then my people came over and fucked it up, like
but like
literally.
so it's a recessive gene, but like you can sometimes be born with magic. There's different kinds of magics. Usually it's based on what kind of magic your parents had or whatever. It's a recessive gene, so it can be carried. So there are cases where it's like 2 human parents will give birth to a mage and shit like that. And there's there's a whole thing. It's a genetic thing, and I need to bring that up for reasons. Because
Yeah,
Noelle, she's not a mage, but her brother is. So just wink, wink. Keep that in mind.
yeah.
So, oh yeah, I should also mention mine are not. Hers awaken with powers at 13. Mine awaken with powers between the ages of 1 to 5. So
Yeah.
wink, wink, cough, cough. Anyway, so.
Oh, and they can also test it in the blood, right? Can't they?
They
Wasn't that a
can,
thing too? Yeah.
yeah, kind of. But the thing is, though, too, is that you're not like it's not gonna get like really sparkly and noticeable until they have their magic.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So that
so
was a
like
question I had.
you might like squint really hard and think, is that a sparkle or was that just the light? But
It's not just the glass.
yeah, because like I mean, spark. You have to have light to have it sparkle anyway. Anyway, sorry, that's just a bunch of technicalities.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so
We both like technicalities and probabilities, even though they get broken. So
yeah, so anyway, Tybalt was babysitting.
he was babysitting his boy. He hadn't had like any sleep, and how Tybalt was raised. um, so Tybalt's mom, who's a character that we'll call her Heather. So Heather, she's one of those moms that's a terrible mom, but she genuinely loves her kids.
Yes.
So, and she's from my world, so time's different. And so she would keep telling Noelle and Tybalt, because Gabe wouldn't sleep either. He would like hardly sleep. He would just scram, all the scram. And so she's always like, if you just put like some whiskey or rum in like the bottle, he'll just pass right out. I did it to you all the time as a kid, Tybalt, and you were just fine. And Noelle and Tybalt were always like, no, but Noelle's gone. Tybalt's kind of at his last leg, and all he wanted was to take a nap. He's like, no one's gonna see me do it. I'm just gonna do it.
My
I'm gonna
wife
make him pass
doesn't
out.
have to know.
Yeah, my wife. I can't lie, but I won't say it. I can't lie, but I just don't have to say anything. I just don't have to answer. Pretty much, it came down to he just really wanted to sleep. So he was like looking for a bottle or something. No, yeah, he was looking
He
for
was
a
looking for
bottle.
the bottle.
And he ends up like whacking his head on a pantry, and shit comes down, and he just kind of loses it. He's tired, he's irritated, And because he's also Tybalt, his powers are a little funky compared to the other mages. So he pretty much just like screams out, like in pure anger, like, I wish all these kids would just grow up already. And he ended up actually like putting a curse on all the kids that were pretty much all the kids that he knew existed. Because it
Yeah.
wasn't around the world. It was
Oh
just
yeah,
the
it was
kids.
at the. We should also clarify. At this point, there were about. There was actually about 7 kids.
Just seven.
Yeah, there were
Just
7 kids. There was Gabriel, like just so we can lay it out. There was Gabriel, who was their first crack kid. I should actually clarify. He wasn't the first kid in the universe at the time,
That's
but he was the
true.
first
That's
like actual genuine like crack kid between 2 characters. That weren't from the same world. Other than that, we had Angel, who's the baby in Seven Sins and a Baby. Wow. So we had Naya, who's Tetsu's daughter. We had Cassie, who was just a random elf from Michie's world who was turned into a demon and then saved, and then I had a bunch of my characters adopt her, because, yeah.
Because the Noel's work buddies wanted a kid too, so they adopted this kid.
Yeah. Well, listen. Kai just really got attached, all right?
That's true. Kai adopted Cassie. The
Kai
rest were
is
just like, okay.
Kai's gonna get his own episode of things. It's fine. He was a main character for a while.
It's actually pretty soon. We're gonna have to get to
Oh
it
yes,
this point,
exactly. So then we had Cassie, we had Lucas, who was the adopted baby boy between 2 of our characters. That was its own. That's its own story in general. God, there was so much that happened before Gabe was even born. Jesus.
Yeah, when you think about it, like
there was so much.
It's kind of like now, like we're thinking about it being complicated now, but then we think back and we're like, oh no, this was crackland. I guess that was just
we just had more plot back then. Anyway, so
we have plots now. We have mini plots going on,
but they're all tied to kids now.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, so we had Lucas. That was a thing. We had, I'm trying to remember the originals. Jeez. Oh, there was Ida.
Yeah, Ida. Okay, so I should explain. Ida is Alador and Carlia's kid when they're older, because Alador does have a kid when he... Because there is a time skip in my story, hence why there was a time skip in Crackland. And during that time skip, he pops out a kid, but Ida was a baby at this point. She was a baby. Because remember when all the kids showed up, like, Addison picked up this baby she just found in a hallway, and I had to tell you, I'm like, so, here, I have to type to you. I don't know if I can say that. Hold on.
Well, we don't need to give the whole backstory on each of the kids.
That's right. Never mind. Okay. She's a vampire baby, pretty much, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
she's a quarter vampire.
Yeah, she's a quarter vampire at that point.
Anyway,
so.
And then the last one we had was Matthias.
Yes, and Matthias is Ringmaster and Blair's kid. Yes. Which are also canon kids. So, out of the canon kids, there is Naya, Angel, Ida, and Matthias, the 4.
Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry, I was like blanking for a second. No, I'm just trying to... Yeah, you're correct. There were like 4 of them were canon, I believe, and then there was 3 that were not technically canon.
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, sorry, we're just technicalities.
It's also been a long time since we've gotten to this recap.
Oh, yeah, and there's...
So we're like,
trust me, these 7 are not the end of Gen 2. So, not even close. So, we had, so there was the 7 of them, and those would be the 7 kids that Tybalt would have known about in terms of all these kids.
Yeah.
Cough, cough.
Yeah.
So, no, Gabe doesn't make them grow up. That wasn't Gabe.
Not at first.
So Tybalt does, because everything that happens... And little does Tybalt know what he's done until his son just suddenly bursts into the room and hugs his face and says, just, Dad, something amazing happened.
Yeah.
And when I say, like ran in, I mean neumed.
Yeah,
Because
he
we
fumes.
decided his quirk was that he's just really, really fucking fast.
Yeah, okay, that's something else I should explain. So, all of my mages, because there's only 7, and they can only have, they can each only have one. You get one.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it is. They all are born with, I call it a quirk, and then I watched my hero like years after, and I'm like, shit. It's kind of like the whole fusion thing. But anyway, so they each have an odd magic power that's an effect of being a mage kid. And sometimes it can be really cool, and sometimes it can be a curse, and there's no way to turn it off or get rid of it.
Yep. We
You're
have a
just
good
there.
mix of that in here.
Yeah.
So, yes. So we had, that was his whole thing. And, okay, I have to explain how this happened, because we really need to grasp how a lot of what happened with Gabe became solely from me not wanting to draw him naked.
Yeah.
Because realistically,
He would have been naked. He would have been naked.
if these kids were just magicked up how they were and not intentionally, their clothes wouldn't exactly be aged up with them. However,
Yeah.
I decided when I wanted to draw a silly meme picture of Gabe hugging his dad's face, like super excited, I was like, yeah, I don't want to draw him naked. I really
that's
don't.
weird. Just a little weird. Just a bit.
So I put him in clothes, and I was like, ah, shit, how do I like argue that away to where that makes sense? So there was this entire joke about how I set up a joke where it was just that he was slightly more powerful than the average mage and was able to just materialize clothes out of nowhere, and that was my cheap write out excuse for not making him naked at the time. So he was like in front of, because also his uncle showed up, because of course he knew his brother-in-law would fuck up at some point, and he showed up and he watches Gabe just poof clothes from nothing on his friends, and he's like he just sits there for a second like that shouldn't be possible. And so I made that as a joke, and it wasn't meant to be anything more than an excuse for me not to have to draw the kids naked for my joke picture. And Michie decided that, oh, you mean he's like all powerful?
Yeah, so he became like slightly more powerful. This is now God.
Yeah, it just became a game of us playing off of each other, and Gabe just getting progressively and progressively more powerful, because it was just funny to see people's reactions to that.
Yeah.
So I just want to highlight the fact that Gabe got to being like his Gabe Jesus self because I didn't want to draw him naked. And that's the tea. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so this all happened where all of these 7 kids got aged up, but there was this very strange, and then we realized that Gabe is like, oh my god, Gabe is like extremely powerful for a mage in my world, like ridiculously powerful. And like,
Yep, Gabe Jesus.
yes, Gabe Jesus. And, but there became this sort of thing that everybody noticed, that the other 6 kids, when they were aged up, had minds that were equitable to the age they got. I think they got aged up to teenagers at this point.
They were teenagers first, yeah.
Yes, they were teenagers. I think maybe, yeah, they were teenagers. So they got aged up to being teenagers. And, or actually, wait. I think it was actually that the toddlers were adults, but the babies were teenagers.
That's right. No, you're right.
Because
That's what
I have memories of Ida and Gabe being younger than everybody else.
Yes, yes.
So yeah.
But when we get to the point where Gabe aged everybody up, he made them all the same age.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gabe just, there's no rules. But anyway, so like when they were first aged up though, everyone had the minds that were appropriate for their new ages, being like adults or children, being like, huh, this is weird. But Gabe, for some reason, out of all of them, seemed to have this perpetual mind of a 5-year-old.
Forever.
And just, so like all of his mannerisms, all the way he talked, all the way he acted just seemed eminent of a child, which was just strange. Not because he was a child, like, in reality, but because all the other 6 were did not have the minds of the child at the time, which is very strange. So this happens, and they decide to talk to a much more reputable mage, Siren, about, like, what the fuck happened. And she ends up saying that, like, well, seems like you cursed him.
Yeah, and it was like, what? No, I would never curse my kid. I just wanted sleep.
Yes, and basically it was like, okay, well, how long does it take till it will wear off, essentially? And she's like, oh, it can be anywhere from a week to a couple years. You know.
Depending on the strength of the curse. Then it was like, Tybalt, which curse did you use? He's like, well.
I was just like, I don't fucking know. But
like, So don't tell my wife.
Tybalt, she's gotta find out.
That was the thing. I remember he like tried to hide it before she got home from this like work trip thing, and he couldn't. It just couldn't. Obviously, it didn't happen. So,
yeah, but anyway, so for a while they go on a bunch of like misadventures and things, and I don't think we're gonna be able to remember, because I don't even remember if they went on the mermaid adventure at this point or not.
I don't remember either.
Like, I genuinely
remember,
can't.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much stuff that could be, like, it's just all over the place.
It really is.
Yeah, but they went on a lot of misadventures in this time, and then being adults and being a little squad, and they, I know they gave themselves, at some point they gave themselves the nickname of the Seven Miracles, because they're all miracle babies.
Yeah, like none of them technically should have been possible.
Yes, and, so
and I remember Lucas's was just really funny because like out of everybody he's
what, you cut out?
Oh, I said Lucas is the one normie out of everybody. So I remember his was something like, and you're the miracle that got adopted.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, because everybody was special in some way, and then Lucas was the human.
Yeah, so it was like but with the reason why we had that joke was because like we got 7 mages, we have 7 sins. There was a different group of 7, but I can't expand on that one very much.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of 7s going around, and there were 7 babies who were like, ha ha ha. And then, so anyway, I'll get to that. We'll get to Nyos in a second. But
oh yeah.
In a second, because that didn't happen yet. So what ended up happening was that eventually we get to a point where it's like, when can we go back to normal or something like that?
When can we go back to being kids?
No, I'm trying to remember who exactly called that out, because I don't...
It was Eustet. Eustet called him out on it.
Were they adults at that point, though? I thought they were children at that... Oh, no. What?
Well, no, because okay, I remember that Gabe kept them older for like a year.
No, yes, I know that. That's what I'm trying to set up. Now we've ruined the twist. But, you know.
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to say it in dramatic, cinematic language. But, no, I couldn't remember if that happened. Yeah, I guess you're right. Because I just can't remember at this point. It's been so long.
I only remember, I know it's been so long, but I remember because there was a reason Eustet was there. I remember because she had this confrontation with Gabe.
Because she kidnapped Naya. That was the whole thing.
That's right. She kidnapped Naya. That's what it was.
Yeah, she kidnapped Naya. And when they... or whenever she brought... They were all panicking and freaking out because they realized that like there was someone impersonating Tetsu at that point. And when she came back to just drop Naya off, there was this whole confrontation where it got really weird because this was the first time we had... This is episode 1 of Gabe Jesus versus She Satan.
Yeah.
So because Gabe got really weird and very intense, and that's when we also decided that just Gabe can see like people's real forms, but because he has a mind of a 5-year-old, because no one else was treating, because like she has a really freaky monster form, that's her real form, but like because no one else can see that, he just thought because all the adults were acting like it was normal, it must be normal. So like you know, and but when she came back and now everyone was freaked out, there was this really fucking intense conversation or interaction where he just where he got very serious for this crazy chaos child. And she ended up basically spilling the beans that in reality they could have, like, the curse wore off a while back, like months ago, but Gabe just didn't want the adventure to be over.
Yeah, so Gabe was keeping everybody the same age so he could keep going on adventures with his friends.
He didn't want to go back to being a baby yet.
Yeah,
And,
because being a baby's no fun.
yeah. So, like, and, so that, when she ends up leaving, that was the tea that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
Because, now everyone knew that the reason why the kids were still older was because Gabe was keeping them older, which is a bit terrifying. And all the and in my world, my mage masters, which are like the 4 most powerful mages, were like, "Yep, that's not normal."
Yeah, and even my mages were like, "That's not normal either."
Yeah, it's a little not normal.
I remember Steven being like, the old wise, not old lady, was like, that would have to take constant concentration
from a child who looks like he can't focus on anything for 5 minutes.
Yeah, to keep not only himself but everyone else just aged up constantly while sleeping, because he would sleep, just not long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot there was the fucking joke that he slept for like 30 minutes tops.
Yeah.
I fucking forgot about that. But yeah, so anyway, the whole ending of this is that eventually they're able to convince Gabe to put everyone back to normal, and he does that. So then a whole year goes by with no problems, and everything's fine, and everything's great. And then at the ripe old year of 1 year old for Gabe, his dad picks him up and gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
Because congratulations, your baby's a mage.
Yeah. And he got tased. It wasn't even like a little bit of a shock. Because Gabe is so powerful, it like fucking hurt. He was like, ah!
Yep, a little bit. And, oh, goodness. I think there was, what was it? Because I know there was a period of time where they were like Gabe made himself 5 for like a really long period of time.
Yeah. I think it was shortly after he awakened. Like, I think it like happened like right after that.
I think so.
Because I think it was just him this time. Because I forgot what it was, but I remember someone said something, and that's where like a trigger word came into play of like when you're older or when you're grown up or something.
Oh, and yeah, that's right. Just like yeah, it was like something about like when you're an adult was like his trigger word, and it was like
and it became a thing to where like everybody else who knew Gabe, like everybody, if they wanted to say something, they'd have to like make words up so he wouldn't catch it, because the second he would hear that, he would just poof into being
just like, well, now we're adults again.
I remember that was the thing, because it would affect every one of his friends.
What is the baby? A full-on taser or a car battery shock? I'm gonna say full-on taser.
I would say taser, because a car battery shock hurts, but it's not like as visceral. I'd say he was a taser.
But like, I can't remember, because this is where things get like really jumbled in my brain, because I'm like, I remember, because I want to go into the whole Siren Kai thing, but I can't, because I remember there was a thing where they were trying to convince Gabe. No, it must have happened before he awakened, because I swear there was a time before he went back to being a baby, because he had to forget about Siren. Because I remember he had a confrontation with Siren where Siren said something about like, in a year or something, I'm gonna die at some point, like just really vaguely, and he got really upset about it. But I know he was 5.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe.
And then I remember she convinced him, it'll be fine, go back to being a baby, so he did. And then at that point, he'd basically been 5 for a year.
That's right. Maybe, I think, okay, this is where it gets fuzzy. I think he aged everybody else back, but I think he stayed a 5-year-old first, because I think he became a baby after the Siren talk.
You're probably, okay, I think I remember. All right, hang on, I think I remember.
Sorry, this has literally been like almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm mathing a minute right now. Okay, listen. I think what happened was that he, okay, what I think happened was that he aged everyone else down, but he was so, that's right, he was so scared about Eustace now because like she
That's
became
right,
his
yeah.
boogeyman, that he didn't want to lose his power by turning back into a baby. So
That's what it was.
he wasn't there like something where someone wished for a baby and he poofed one? That's way later. We'll get to that way later.
Yeah.
That's Demetriel. That's a different story. But
Yeah.
yes, but like he was so scared that he didn't want to go back to being a baby. He still wanted his powers, so he made all the toddlers 5 again, but he and Ida stayed 5 rather than going back to being babies.
Yeah.
So there was a whole year where Gabe, and by extension Ida, because I don't want to discriminate.
That's right, yeah.
And they went back to, they were 5 for like a whole year while they're trying to convince Gabe to like, please go back to normal. We want our baby back. Please.
That's when Nyos happened. That's when Nyos
Yes,
happened.
that's because I was gonna say he grew up like with Nyos.
Yeah, he did. They're like technically a year apart because I remember when.
Yeah, they're technically a year apart, but they look the same age because ages are fucked.
Yeah. Okay, so let me explain this part real quick because it's kind of important. So, at this point in the time skip, Tetsu and her love interest, they have a very strained relationship in the canon story. You know, just with things.
They didn't see each other for 5 years.
Yeah, they don't see. That's not really a spoiler. Yeah, they don't really see each other for 5 years because of reasons. And Tetsu knows some things, but Ten doesn't think that she knows some things, and so she's kind of been going through a lot. But Tetsu's that lady. You just internalize all your negative feelings, you put it in a box, and you keep it outside of your body. Cough. So during that time, with all the misadventures and everything, she, because Tetsu is a little bookworm, and she loves learning things, and she has really weird social anxiety with certain things, she ended up meeting the mages and getting very close to a certain mage named Anthony.
Anthony.
And they started becoming a really cute. Their relationship was really cute. Like I really liked
cute.
their relationship because they were one of the ones that like they just hit it off like really fast.
Just chemistry everywhere.
Just chemistry everywhere. Yeah, which was the joke. But anyway, so they hit it off, and you know, Tetsu already had Naya, so she knew she couldn't have another kid, but she always wanted to have another kid. But she couldn't, hence why she also adopts a lot of kids in Crackland Future. But I remember things had became complicated because Ten came back.
Yes.
He came back into the picture, and she had already started this relationship with Anthony, and she was very conflicted, and she didn't want to like hurt any of the guys. This was the part where it was like, oh, we made a love triangle, and I hate love triangles, but everyone in the triangle acted like adults. Like Ten didn't hate Anthony didn't hate Ten. Neither of them hated Tetsu. They both liked Tetsu, and they were
weren't
just
like actively trying to fight over her or anything like that.
Which is funny because they're both really powerful men in their own fields. So that would have actually been a pretty weird fight. Like, I actually don't know who would have won in that fight.
I really don't know.
like if the fight had happened, I actually don't know who would have won, but someone would have died. That is kind of clear. If they did end up fighting, someone probably would have died.
Yeah, but it was a weird, like, oddly, like, the most mature love triangle I think you'd ever see written in a story.
Yeah, well, I think it was also because everybody kind of understood that it was a very odd situation, because Tetsu's situation was very odd, and it's odd in her story anyway. But so she ended up kind of like breaking it off with both of them, but she still wanted to like be with them. But she had to. Well,
it was like breaking off for like I need time to think kind of a thing.
Yeah. Because also from where she's from, you know, poly and shit doesn't exist, but the mages in that world are like hella poly, hella open relationship. It's actually more rare to be monogamous.
Anthony's actually the weird one in terms of mage culture.
Anthony's the odd one in like his own people's culture.
Yeah, so that's for reasons.
So stuff happened, and then I remember she was talking to Gabe about it. No, I think it was Tybalt that said something, and then Gabe went to Tetsu about it.
Yeah, well, because like she was saying something about, it's like, yeah, I would like to have babies, but you know, it's just not how it is. It's fine, you know, but like obviously not fine, like that kind of thing.
It's fine. We just get one. It's no big deal.
So you know, Gabe just walks over and gives her an innocent hug. Nothing to worry about here.
It was
you know.
the funny thing was the innocent hug was she like instantly got sick.
Yeah, oh yeah, like gave her an innocent hug and she's just like, "Oh, thank you, like sweet baby." And then it's just like the moment like he
I
lets
think it's the
go,
second
she
he
has
let
to run to
go.
the bathroom cuz she's like hurling her guts out.
Yeah, and she doesn't understand what's going on, and so she goes to Noelle, who's a doctor, and Noelle's like, "Oh, you're pregnant," and she's like, "That's not
What?
like that's not possible." It's like, what? Well, and she's like, "No, you don't understand."
Well, it's just like, wait,
It's
but
like,
that's not possible. Like, just pause for a second. Oh no! Like,
and then it was really awkward for her because it's like, and then I remember being like, because Noelle, because everyone knew that everyone knew that Tetsu and Anthony were having this thing because they were having the thing for a while. Like I
yeah,
said,
no, I remember what it was because like I know Noelle was also like, oh, this is weird,
yeah,
because like she'd know at that point, like that'd be explained to her, but like
yeah.
I remember that it was because like like Noelle was like, oh well, that's like great, and it's just like, or it's like it would be Anthony's then or something like that, and she's just like, no, you don't understand. I just broke up with him.
Yeah, it's like it was literally today.
That was literally this morning. Like,
And she was like, "Oh, it's like great." so,
just like,
so poor Tetsu,
well,
man. And the sad thing is, that's kind of her life. Like so much of her life is just like really bad misfortune in certain areas. So,
it be like that
so
sometimes.
she being the honorable lady that she is, though, she like went back to Anthony and she told him, she's like, "So I'm pregnant," and he was like, "You said you couldn't get pregnant," but not like in an angry way, more in a like, "I thought you said."
It's just like, I thought that wasn't something that happened.
And she's like, "It's not," but Gabe did his Gabe thing, and then I remember it was during that time, that 5-year-old gap, that when people would say stuff when you get older, Gabe would age everybody
Yeah,
else
that
up
was
because
that time where there was this sporadicness of like, now we're kids, now we're adults, now we're kids again. Like, because that's whenever like people would piss him off. Because if Gabe asked a question and they're like, "You'll learn when you're older," he'd piss him off.
because he would ask stuff that you don't tell a kid to, so it was never like you're being an asshole.
Yeah, he was always like, just like, like, what is sex? Like,
We'll tell you when you're older.
oh god, it was a time.
God, and also during the whole pregnancy too, like Tetsu still wasn't really with them yet. They were like around and they were still helping her out. I remember because that was the whole thing too, where I remember this one scene very clearly where Ten makes Tetsu almond milk and everybody's really intimidated by him.
Hmm.
Because I remember because he was in the kitchen and making like milk and they were like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "She likes it." And I remember, and because this is one of those Kai moments where Kai was like,
Yeah, that was Kai being a bean.
yeah, and that was when Kai was like, "You like her?" It was like, "Yeah, I enjoy her company." It's like, no, you know what I mean.
You know what I mean. I think at some point we also got in the whole fucking mess of AUs, quote unquote.
That's right. That was a whole thing.
Yeah,
That was
because that's when we started getting into. Because this was way before we realized the epic plot twist between Ten and Kai. But like, and and we, oh shit, it was like, but we had a bunch of things where we're realizing, oh, I bet these two characters, where it was like we'd have AUs where it's like our characters would have an alternate version in the opposite world, and they'd usually be like the total opposites.
that's right. Because the first one we met was Wrath. Technically, it was
Yeah,
Wrath.
we had a
Because it was
joke
in
with
Ringmaster's
him,
Circus. Yeah.
and that was a time. But yeah, we had a couple of those, and that was a thing. So that was a thing, treading on it, and that's whenever like whatever Nios was actually born, which is Anthony and Tessa's daughter. If you
Son.
or son, fucking, I'm tired. If you hadn't figured that out yet, but we after he was born, we were like, you know what, we're just gonna decide that's like that's Gabe's
That's
opposite,
Gabe's.
because it was
Was
like they're both crack kid, like basically mixes of both worlds. They're both mages, but they're like have absolutely like opposite personalities.
Yeah. And that was the joke is Gabe just love this is like way way down in the future. But when Gabe's husband is eventually born, it's like this is I am when we make the joke, I'm Dimitri sexual, like it's just him.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter. And then there's Nios who is
All
a
women are
Casanova.
queens.
Yes. There's a Casanova playboy that loves all of his.
Yes, but like God. So um anyway, but there was I only mentioned this next part because it's going to be this was just something like when we were role playing this like a year in or like years after this happened in canon, we looked back on this and said like, oh shit, we foreshadowed this all along. So
Yeah.
like, there was this important scene whenever like Gabe was still 5 at this period of time, and Siren mentioned something about how like, yeah, I think I'm gonna die soon, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like
very Siren-esque. Just I think I'm gonna die soon.
yeah, and Gabe got real upset about. Gabe just doesn't in general did not like death,
No,
like at
he
all.
still doesn't. He still doesn't.
Yes, but like death was like terrifying to him. Like it was Gabe was the whole shit where it's like if he didn't want someone to die, they just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like there's quite a few people that ended up getting like resurrected because Gabe just decided they should.
Yeah.
God, that'll come back later when we talk about fucking Franny.
Oh yeah, I was about to say because that was pretty traumatizing for poor Gabe.
Oh yes, but that happened way later.
Way later, yeah, way later.
So there was a bunch of shit like that ended up happening. I think was there like one time that actually happened when he was 5?
With Tybalt?
No, just with resurrecting people.
Hold on, I think so.
I think it happened at least once. And I'm trying to remember who that was with. Because I feel like it happened at some point in time.
Oh, I remember what it was.
It was with Heather, wasn't it?
It wasn't Heather. Well, he fixed her because she was sick.
Right,
She
right.
didn't die, but he made it so she wasn't sick anymore. So he didn't really resurrect her because she didn't die. He brought back because I remember this is when he was learning about things, and this was during when Siren was kind of getting into her. I don't want to say mopey phase because she doesn't really have those, but when she realized that her
whole
time
life
was
is a
coming
mopey
up,
phase.
Yeah, her whole life is pretty much a mopey phase. But to like cheer her up, he brought back the previous 7 mages
That's
of her
right.
generation, and she was just not happy. I remember like they were there, they were all excited because they don't understand what the fuck's going on, and they were like surprised, and I remember she just like turned around and was like, "You send them back."
Yeah, he also did that with some other.
Yeah, some other people.
Some other creations of mine, but I can't talk about them, unfortunately. But so yeah, there was some periods where he just resurrect people casually.
Yeah, just casually, just be like, "Oh, this person's supposed to be dead for like 1,000 years."
Oh well.
Oh well, now they're just here. What do you mean they're just here? They're just here.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay. Shoot. So anyway, there was a whole thing with Siren where he got really upset about that, and she basically like was being nice to him and saying that like, don't worry, like I'll be reborn, and then like if your father and his friends do their job right, they'll go find my next life.
Yeah, and then
I fucking remember that quote word for word.
Yeah, I remember that, and then Siren. It was a very sweet moment. It was like a dark but sweet moment, which is a lot of Siren's character. And it was she pretty much explained like, and my next life will be right around age, and I'm sure best friends.
Yeah, it's just, and he made a promise that like, I promise I'll love your next life just as much as I love you, which is really ironic considering the future.
Yeah, it was so ironic, yeah.
But like,
so,
I literally wrote that because I was like, yeah, that seems like a thing Gabe would say.
it really, yeah. And then, one thing before we get into the sad, because we're about to go into a sad territory right here. Because I remembered this, and this is really important. So, during when Gabe was a toddler, during one of those moments, Angel and Matt started like getting fifis. I say that because it was like really kind of forced in that time, because that was during the weird like aging up and aging down, aging up and aging down, and they were all kind of confused.
Like they were kids with fifis too, like
that's
cute
what I'm saying. Yeah,
toddler crushes where it's just like, hey, can I sweep over at my girlfriend's house?
Yeah, yeah, they were really, really cute. It was like
it was very pure.
It was very pure, but Gabe, being Gabe, doesn't understand things. I remember this very clearly. I remember Ringmaster showed up because he was very pissed, and he doesn't really get pissed. It takes a lot for him to get pissed, so he showed up, and he ended up like saying like, okay, you get your kid to get this curse off my kid. And Tybalt and Noelle were like, what? He's like, he bonded Matthias and Angel together. So now if something happens to the other one, it's going to affect him, which does come back later.
Yeah, which would basically mean if one dies, the other dies.
Yeah, like instantly. Or vice versa. If one of them got really, really, really hurt, the other would get really, really, really hurt. It was just kind of a thing. And so
because Gabe is a child who doesn't understand shit.
Yeah, there's a reason why that practice has been like super outlawed, even by. Again, it's one of those things when Ringmaster won't do something, it's pretty bad. So Tybalt and Noelle are like, oh, we don't like. What do you want me to do?
It's like, do you think we can control our child?
Yeah, and so Ringmaster
have you seen him?
So Ringmaster, being petty, was like, all right. You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna put it on YouTube so you can see what I'm talking about. So he ended up putting it on Tybalt and Noelle, and he did it. And then if I remember correctly, I think that's the first technical time that Noelle got her neck snapped. I say first, because they both kind of got their neck snapped, and then it grew back.
We had a lot of cruel fun because there's the fact that while Tybalt can die, Noelle at the time could not.
Yeah. So there was that, and I remember they were both like, "Oh my God, Kai, how?"
Oh, I fucking forgot about that.
Because we touched about that, because he was the first.
Yeah, I fucking forgot that Ten just snapped Kai's neck.
We can't die, Conk.
Oh wow, you're right, you can't die.
That was still great, because that was just like, well, what would have happened if he didn't come back? Well, then he would have been dead. Like,
well, then I would have known you lied to me.
Yeah. So that's important for a little part later. So
yes. So anyway, after a while, I think the deal that ended up being made that was like Gabe was really excited for like Nios to be born. So I believe the deal was that like, let me be there for that and then I'll fix everybody.
Yeah.
So I know Nios was born, and that's when Gabe finally fucking aged him and Ida back down to actual babies.
Yes.
Finally.
And the funny thing was, technically at that point they were like 2, but he put them back down to.
Yeah, because he's a child who doesn't understand how time works.
Yeah, he's a chaos god.
Yes, he is an absolute chaos god. And so I remember there was, I think also along this was when like the Cassia Varys plot like started happening at some point.
Yes, no, it did, because I think if I remember correctly, no, never mind, because they adopted Dawn. Never mind, because they showed they poofed later, because another group of people that were supposed to be dead, Gabe brought back, and they ended up adopting a mermaid later on. So
and then they ended up going away, but then one of them was left being really, really sad. Because I'll explain this. I don't care. I'll explain this. This is so long as I don't dive too deeply into it. I think I can dance around it. So the group where Gabe at some point brought back. No, actually, no, it wasn't Gabe. No, hang on. I forgot. It wasn't Gabe who brought them back. This was during the time when the scroll came into play.
That's right.
And they got excited. So I know they brought, okay, because my sins obviously technically have past lives as well. And these past lives, they advise the current sins with varying amounts of success on how to use their powers to basically make them more powerful. Although they have varying relationships. Wrath and Ira like to fight, argue a lot because they're both very hot-headed. And Ira's extremely judgmental. Lord, I'm gonna blank on all of their names right now because it's been so long since I typed them out. Gluttony and hers, they get along super great. They're best buds.
I love Scary Buddha.
I know. I love him too. Then there was Envy and Elliot.
Yeah.
or not Elliot. That's his human name, but it was
Zavist?
Zavist. Envy and Zavist. Zavist is a trash man. So
he's gross.
Zavist would gladly help Envy out. She doesn't want to talk, look at him. So, there's that. She doesn't even want to think that they're associated with each other. Poor Pride doesn't get any help at fucking all because his past the past Pride is a petty bitch. Sloth and his past buddy, they're good friends. They both hang out and are chill bros together.
Yeah.
And
they both hang out and do sloth things.
Yeah, and then Lust and his past life have a pretty close relationship and all of that sort of thing. That was a whole episode that even happened before Gabe was even born, actually.
That's right. Yeah, because Lazaria and Ned together. That's right.
Yes. And then Greed, we don't talk about that. That one's a little complicated and it gets slightly into spoilery territory.
Just slightly is a little being.
But just to try to put this in the best phrasing I can, there was a past Greed who was pretty nice, actually a pretty decent person and likable. But shit happened, and so there's this little shit named Avaris who's problematic.
I fucking love Avaris.
I love him too. And the whole past sins, there's a whole way that it goes where that she's kind of the past Greed. She was kind of the heart of the group until
shenanigans.
Yeah, till shit happened and she lost her body to someone else and it sucks ass. And so that, her group got really fucked up by that, especially her girlfriend, who is Ira, and she's already a bottle of anger, so, just problem things. Anyway, so, that was a whole thing. So there was this entire little episode in actual Crackland where there was this scroll who could bring whoever you thought of back to life for a little while to talk to them, at least until fucking you decided for them to go away, I guess.
Well, no, the whole thing was as long as the scroll was open,
right? As long as it's open, and
because it was literally meant. The thing was because my mages before the war, they were pretty much gods. So a lot of them created a lot of shit because they were just and they were very chaotic. And so one of Siren's many jobs was to make sure that shit's not around anymore or seal it away. And that's why one of the things was you could only open it because Lily opened a pure person to open it. So you couldn't bring evil people back. Cough.
Yeah, but Gluttony got really excited because, damn, I want you all to meet my friend.
Yeah, my friend's a bro.
Yeah, I want you to meet my friend. But, Evil Buddha sure is a cool guy to her, but he is evil. He's a little bit of an asshole. So, he ended up basically tricking Gluttony into giving him the scroll and brought some of his friends back. Not all of them, but
enough.
Yeah, a few of them, just a few. And one of them being Avaris, who, as we have said, is an evil little shit. So, not great. um, and so there was a whole period. There was a whole. I don't want to get like all into the details about it. But there's this whole thing where like Lassyria ended up stealing the scroll, and then she was ended up like giving like mortal life again. So then she closed the scroll, and that solved it for a while. But all you need to know is that later on, Gabe ended up bringing the whole like all the evil sins or the old sins, I guess I should say, back to life again. And but Averis is a little problematic, so I don't even remember who fixed that, but somebody fixed that. But that also still meant that the other chick, the good one, was still technically dead. So that's sad. But all I remember is that she ended up getting brought back.
No, I think I remember. I think at that time, I think I remember how Averis got like split. I think it was Cassie became a demon again, and she made a deal with Ira to bring her back, like her.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think that's what it was because I remember Cassie like I believe that's what happened because Cassie became.
Yeah. Well, I think because all I remember is because the old sins were brought back by a demon deal, and then like except for Lassyria. Lassyria was a different case.
She yeah.
But they were brought back with with Gabe, and then Gwen was brought back with a demon deal, and so eventually, whenever Gabe at some point, quote unquote, fixed everything, because I think they adopted Dawn at that point or something like that. I can't remember, but at some point, Gabe fixed everything or something like that, and so the five of them got wiped away, but Gwen didn't. So, like, all of this fighting for, like, I want to be with my friends again and we want our friend back was for naught, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she was really depressed because the girlfriend she's been, like, waiting for centuries to be back together with is now gone as well. So I remember she ended up making a deal with somebody as well to bring her back. And it's just, everything's complicated.
It is. It's a very, we don't think it's complicated. No one try to think.
All you need to know, literally the only reason I talk about this at all is because that's Dawn's family. Which Dawn is a mermaid that Tybalt technically found, and then Gwen was just like, I'ma just yoink this, and so,
This is mine now.
Yeah, Gwen just took that, and so now Dawn is a thing, and yeah, we'll get back to Dawn later. Gosh, yes. So anyway, where the fuck were we even before I went on that entire tangent?
Siren dying. We were at Siren dying.
Right. So here we go. So after Gabe put everyone back to normal again and everything was fine, for there was a whole year where Gabe just wasn't a thing. And he was just a normal baby.
He was just a baby. Everyone was happy. Tetsu as her new baby.
Yes.
During that time, they figured out how to do a poly relationship, so that happened.
It was cute. Everything was nice. So this is where during the time where our lovely boy Kai.
Yeah, that was when their relationship started to form, but neither of them like realized it was a like they both liked each other, but they both have issues.
Yeah. Well, it's like Siren didn't really like pursue anything like that, and then Kai was just too sweet to go after it. So like, it was this whole idea of like not of like waiting for the right moment when he should have been taking a chance, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there was this whole big battle or whatever happened with that, and
there's this big battle that happens that I can't go into too much detail about.
Yeah.
But this battle happens and Siren. Okay, because this isn't a spoiler. So, my 7 mages of Siren's generation, all of them used to be really, really, really close, and they have this connection type of thing to each other where it's sort of like the Sealing Pact curse thing that Ringmaster and Matthias and Angel have and stuff, but it's different. It was more so meant so like when a mage died, you would like know about it, you'd be sad, if one of them was hurt, you would be like, oh crap, one of us got hurt, kind of. Okay, it was created in good intention, but in execution, especially at this point, it's really bad. So Siren ends up dying, and because of it, all of my other mages end up being incapacitated. They're already really weak, but because the doctor is connected to Tybalt and he's passed out, she's also passed out. So Siren ends up passing away in Kai's arms, and he's just calling for help, and no one's there. It's still sad thing.
It is sad. It was the first time I think we actually cried while
Yeah,
role playing.
I remember when we were done, we were like, you know what?
It was the first time we had a legit like dramatic scene, and there was all sorts of shit that was going on alongside it. Like Kai had a really intense confrontation with somebody else.
That's
and
right,
he's a
yeah.
powerful little shit too. So there was that.
Yeah,
and it was like it was sad.
It was sad, and it was sad for a long time.
Oh yeah, there was an entire year because there was also the fact that so there was an entire year where he was just really fucking depressed. And it was
and it's dark to say, but also because he didn't die, not that he tried to, but he wasn't taking care of himself, and there were a lot of moments. All of his friends were like, he's having a lot of accidents. Like, we really need to watch him.
Yeah, it was not great, but and that's also it was hard because there was Cassie, and Cassie was like Kai was like the father figure for her, so it was just kind of like, just like please, just like this hurts.
Yeah, it was a hard year, and then I remember like there were a couple of times where they ended up like. I remember at least one instance where they like went back. So there was a couple actually where they went back in time where it was Tybalt, Noelle, and Kai to like kind of learn about Siren better, like learn more about her and why she did some things. Because I remember there was one time where they met her when she was still in the temple, and then there was one really traumatic time where like it was like right after she ended up getting captured when the war started, and it like helped a little bit. But then I remember there was a thing where like Kai played her a song when she was still Happy Temple Siren, and she put it into a music box. Like she took his song
and
like
came back around. Whoa,
yeah.
We're such good writers, even though we don't know what we're doing at any point in time.
On it, yeah.
Anyway, but
yeah, and so then, because Siren, there was also another person that was really, really close to Siren that didn't handle it very well, and that was Adrian. Again, this isn't a spoiler, but Adrian had really strong feelings for Siren, even though she knew it wasn't reciprocated. So she was also not in a very good place. And when they finally found Dimitri, her next life, everyone was like, okay, we cannot have this baby around Kai. It's going to mess him up. It's already messing Adrian up. We got to figure out a place for this baby to go. And because I remember, like, Adrian was not happy that they stole the baby from her. And she, like, Cassie had somehow gotten him and was running. And that's when Kai found it, because Kai found, like, Eldritch Horror Adrian, like, chasing down his daughter. And that's when he met Dimitri.
Yay, Quaz.
Yes, the cute little gingerhead Siren's next life baby.
Yeah, and they were like trying to avoid even letting, because there was just a lot of problems where it's like, where do we even let this baby go, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and like, but they didn't want like Kai to meet the baby because it's like, I don't know if that'd be good for him.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, she really is gone.
Oh my goodness.
What?
No, I'm sorry. Kwan's playing 20 questions to me. It's fine.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know how to play. I just hang on. I need to tell her I don't know how to play 20 questions.
This is why it's a live stream, guys. This could never be a video.
Uh, okay, sorry. All right.
That's fine.
So, um,
So
anyway, well,
Kai meets baby Dimitri.
yeah, and basically like it's just like because they're talking about how it's like we don't really know where to like leave him right now, and we're not really like sure what to do with him, and he's just like I can take him. And it's just like
It's like,
are you sure? And he's just like yeah, I'm pretty sure.
and that's when the true OTP was born.
Ah yes. And
Because
yes, there was so for like a while he was still like really depressed, but like it helped a lot. Uh
yeah,
just to have like just something to help like take his mind off of it and something like a little kid to look after and like be responsible for. So like for a while he was still real sad.
he wasn't better. It wasn't like, oh yay, there's a baby. It's like this is a good distraction. Something that literally needs me.
Yeah. It was yeah.
But then there were some other wacky adventures and things going on here and there during that time. But I'm totally blanking on those times. Stuff happened.
Yeah, it was
Because I remember
well it's like I remember it was whenever like Gabe reached 1 when like shit really got crazy. Because that's when
yeah.
like he started there would be the sporadic bursts between okay now we're kids again, okay now we're actually 5 again,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
or like actually babies again, and yada yada
Mm.
yada, and it was constant, and then it was with Dimitri, so it was constantly in tandem with Dimitri,
That's right. Yeah.
and the two were like inseparable.
Oh yeah. That's where Screm came from,
Yes.
where they would just like have this weird mental link of Screm.
Yeah, scram scram
Screm.
and then they'd scream.
Yeah, and then they would also like, and even as they got older, I forgot what it was, but I think they would always sleep together too. Like Gabe would sneak into Dimitri's
Yeah, they
room.
always wanted to like sleep and cuddle together because they're just cute children, and yeah.
They were really fucking cute babies. God
They
damn
were
it.
cute babies.
um, but then I remember when they were actually 5, like when they actually turned
No, no,
5.
no, it wasn't that. It was
Oh,
still because we could not wait. We could not be
you're
like good
right.
writers and wait longer than a year for it to bring Siren back.
That's right. Okay, I was wrong. So they were. I remember. Okay, no, because I remember it was Alador taking them to the. Okay, there are places in my thing where they call them
Well,
coven.
I think we need to highlight though too. It's because the whole thing was that whenever Kai a lot of times would have to babysit both of them.
Yeah,
And so like while most of the time it'd be fine, he'd just have these really like sad moments where he'd just like stare off or just be really distant, and it was like, to small children don't know what's going on, but they're like, I wonder why he's sad all the time.
yeah, yeah.
This requires some investigation.
Mhm. And we can't do that as babies.
We gotta be 5.
Because that was something else. I remember that because Gabe would like wait for his parents to leave or
Oh
do
yeah, it would
something.
always be like my parents get upset when they see us like age up, so I'm just gonna wait for them to leave the room. And then they knew that Kai was too much of a pushover to like tell them no or like be super forceful about like no, you can't do this. So they're just like, see, he won't tattle on us.
God, he really was.
I love Kai.
Ugh.
Oh god. So yeah, they went to uh the other world to help Aldor with some chores and be responsible boys.
Yeah, because Alador is like the only mage out of everybody.
Yeah. Well, they were literally
Damn
like, we
job.
want to do adult stuff. It's like, well, fine, you can go with Alidor, the only responsible adult we know.
Yeah, you can go be with Alador. You're gonna go clean the shrine. Yay. And that was when that's when they met the. So in my world, there's these things called, and it's kind of like little safe havens for the mages. Again, it's one of the many things Siren built. Um, and it also like helps keep their histories and their culture alive, like what's left of it. And so they have these big vast hallways with portraits of different mages because there's a tradition that once you've mastered your powers, so not when you awaken, but when you've felt that you've mastered your powers, you use magic and you make a self-portrait pretty much of yourself.
Yeet.
And so they're going down like the time mage one because Dimitri's the future time mage, and that's when they find the Siren painting with her little mage orb, and Alador like he talks about her and everything, and he talks about her in a really good light. And oh wait, before that I forgot Kai got to say goodbye because he met the portrait too, and like
Yeah, it was sad.
so before that, before the kids were there, Kai like got to say his final goodbye, which is why it also hurt when things happened because he like finally was like, okay, she's gone. I let her go. I can move on. I should laugh at that.
Well, it wasn't sad. It was just like the goodbye was sad.
Yeah, the goodbye was sad, but it was a good sad.
Yeah,
It was
good
a
sad.
happy. Yeah, and so then they do it, and then like Gabe has this like I think like I remember he like was like she seems familiar, and then like Alador kind of just like okay, gotta be careful with what I say here. This kid's chaos, Jesus. Um, but then I forgot. I think Dimitri was asking him some magic questions and like playing with his little orb thing, and because all the mages have like when they get to a certain point, they don't need it anymore. But it's like I hate that Cody called them the mage fidget spinner like so goddamn much. He's like, they're used to help focus, right? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, so they're a fidget spinner. I'm like, god damn it. But then these glass orbs that they can transmute into different sizes and stuff. You see them in their bios and stuff, except for Tybalt. But because Tybalt's Tybalt, he can't do anything right.
Mhm.
So, um,
It'd be like that.
and Dimitri's all like excited when he gets to use magic and stuff, and Alador says like, yeah, just remember the goal with magic, you just have to want something hard enough and let yourself have it. And Dimitri being innocent and all like started, it's like, oh, but then there's Gabe.
Oh, Gabe.
That is the worst thing you could have said that.
Oh, yes.
So
So,
Aldor goes out to go clean other things, and he leaves them alone. He's like, they can't hurt anything.
so the two of them are like, or I remember it was because they were looking at the portrait or something, and I think
They were looking at Siri's
asking
portrait,
questions, and oh, Alador. Oh,
Being
Alador made
polite.
the mistake of like vaguely implying that like Kai used to know that lady in the portrait. And also, I should clarify, the reason why Gabe doesn't remember anything, like any of the like anything from when he was an adult before, was because he went back to being an actual baby pre-magic. So like from that point on, he just basically wiped his own memory.
Yeah.
So like yeah, so he is. It kind of is the same for the other for Ida as well, technically.
Yeah.
But so that's just why he can't remember like that Siren was ever a thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like Gabe was like, you know what? We're gonna bring back whatever is making. We're gonna fix whatever is making my uncle sad.
Yeah.
So, oh, back at home. Or it was like he did something and then he was like really dizzy, and Alador comes back like, "Hey, both of you okay?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Yeah, and then he took a nap because that was it. Whenever Gabe does something really, he would sleep. That's like
Yeah,
the one
whenever he
thing
does
that
something stupid powerful, he just passes out
Yeah,
because that's what happens.
So you have to have some continuity with Gabe Jesus.
Yeah, just a little. But anyway, so back at home, Kai's going about his like just drifting along with life, sadly. And there's a little chess piece that just rolls out of a room. Like, oh, I should probably go fix that. So he takes and he goes back like into the room and sets it down, and Siren reaches her hand out. and it was super happy sad.
It was well. He thought he was crazy. He thought he was seeing her.
Yeah, he thought he was like going insane and like oh god, I'm finally losing it. But then like no, she's actually real. And then it was only happy tears.
Yes, it was only happy tears, and they officially got together.
Yay.
And then that was a whole thing because the fact that Gabe brought her back, she also had all of her powers still, which was also weird because even like
But it wasn't even that she had omniscience anymore, because it wasn't like...
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was just by choice. She could, like, focus and look at the future if she wanted
Oh,
to.
yeah. Because Dimitri was around. But I remember that was a thing that, like, she was paranoid about it, but in her, very apathetic, paranoid way, where she was like, I don't know what's going to happen when he turns 13.
Yeah, just a little.
Because that's when I'm supposed to vanish. So when he turns 13, I could die again.
Whoopsies.
It's one of the, it's like, well, what would happen? Because they would always go to her. She's like, this doesn't happen. This can't happen. Like, but it was during this time though, because they're all around the same age. This is when the horsemen were introduced.
Oh boy.
So
the horsemen in my world they work kind of similar to her mages a little bit, where they're when they die they're immediately reincarnated. But
there's only four.
But for years they were not a thing, because the mages had basically sealed them away, and my current mages didn't know that the 4 mage towers were actually built as prisons originally, and that the only reason mages even live there is to make sure that, like, to protect the towers so they don't fall. But for years these these 4 souls have been trapped away in these towers. And to keep them away, because in the past the 4 horsemen would cause, like, desolation and destruction and all the other hubbub around all that. But the way they work, just for context sake, is that in a lot of ways, like, being born a horseman doesn't make you evil, but however, it quite does set you up for, like, an easy villain backstory. Because the reason why because when you're born a horseman, everyone basically connected to you by blood is cursed with something specific. So, like, some of them being worse than others. For, like, if you're famine, your family's basically, your bloodline is cursed with varying amounts of bad luck. And just for reference, like, for this, it would be like the parents and the siblings would get it the worst because they're directly related by blood. But then the further you go from the family tree, the less and less you likely...
Oh, but isn't it true? Didn't you say, unless I'm remembering it wrong, that, like, if someone was born after the horseman was reborn, then they...
Oh yeah, they wouldn't be affected. Because it only happens in that exact moment. So,
yes, sleep for power.
So,
because Naya let the first one out.
Yeah, but I just want to give the prospect of what happens, because it's also you can also, I mean, the horsemen get the advantage of they don't get... they all have a special advantage, but their family becomes cursed with something specific. So, like, famine, their family is cursed with comedically bad luck. Like, essentially. War's family is cursed with having very, very passionate emotions, which can lead... it's not the cause of it. Like, it doesn't cause family to fight, but having such, like, passionate emotions exemplified leads to more fighting. Oftentimes, or it can lead to a lot of drama and a lot of, like, in-family drama and shit. Now, obviously, if a horseman is, like, immediately adopted out from their family, it doesn't quite matter. So there are some that might get lucky in that sense. But there's more to that technically in history that never happened, and there's a reason why. So then there's that, and then... Plague's family would be cursed with constant sickness, which would basically be like, if your distant aunts and your distant uncles might occasionally just get really sick for no reason and not be able to cure it and just have to wait it out. But your, like, parents and siblings are going to just be always sick, essentially.
Yeah,
and
until they eventually die of the sickness.
Yeah, basically. Or die of... Because the sickness doesn't kill them. It can lower their immune system and make them compromised, but it can't directly kill them. So it's just a lot of suffering.
Yeah, so you're just in hell.
Yeah, basically. Till you die. And then there is death, which just means your family, within most likely the next couple years, is going to spontaneously die.
Final Destination? That's it, but with your family.
And it's just, you can't help it, and you can't stop it, and it sucks. And then on top of that, they have... technically, if we're gonna get really technical with it, it's technically a body fluid thing, but like, quote unquote, their kisses are also curses as well. So like, if you're kissed by the like famine horseman, you will basically imagine The Sims. Imagine your Sim stats on The Sims. Imagine you get kissed by famine, and one of those stats goes to 0. So you could basically end up being like starving, super dehydrated. You could end up like becoming exhausted out of nowhere. You could end up becoming just really horny and like really sex deprived. You know, just it's like just having a gamble on that. With war, it's like you just experience a sudden burst of extremely passionate emotion of some kind. Again, it could be any emotion. It just becomes very passionate. With plague, you become sick. Wow. Wow. And then with death, you'll never guess, you die.
Oh yeah, you're just dead.
It's a peaceful death, but you die. And although death in a lot of ways isn't just about technically like killing people, but that's what it looks like to just the casual viewer. That's the intention.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're immune to specific things. So famine is immune to famine basically doesn't, or they also feed on different things. The only one that would be weird the only two that are weird, I mean, again, death and plague are a bit obvious here, but famine, it's like for famine to feed, they basically have to look at food, and then the food just becomes drained of all of its life and just rots essentially.
Yeah, it just shrivels up and becomes rotten.
Yeah, and then in terms of war just feeds on passionate emotions.
Yeah.
You know,
which is very lucky that in the future she marries a very passionate guy.
But so there's and then there's just the fact that each of them are technically immune to certain things. So the rule that, and I'm the only reason I'm going in such detail with this is because it's important.
Yeah.
So famine, I believe I said something about. Oh, I think it was that famine just is oddly lucky. Which is ironic for Franny, but they're lucky even if they don't notice they're lucky.
I mean, if you think about it, she is kind of lucky in her sense. It's just not probably the way she thought it would be.
Oh yeah, not at all. Then with, which she's lucky in the I'm a freak of nature kind of sense, but we'll get to Franny.
Yeah, we'll get to her, yeah.
Then there's war.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You literally cut out for me for a second. I had to drop and come back.
It says it's continuing. What the fuck?
Okay, so your internet must have spiked.
Oh my fucking god. I have this stupid shit with my TV and it pisses me the fuck off.
That's probably why. You probably just had an internet spike for a second.
Oh, Jesus.
Because it says it's back. Are we back, guys?
Okay, I hope I don't have to re-say all of that.
I mean, I think you're good.
Yeah, I don't think it matters anyway. I mean, there's 16 people watching, but
we still love you, 16 people.
Yeah, we love you. Anyway, so yeah, and then for war, it's so if you stab them with the intention to kill them, or if you do anything with the intention to kill them, it won't kill them. It could indirectly, if something else, if it made them more vulnerable, that's one thing, but it won't directly kill them. Anyway, so. Sorry about that. So then, with plague, can't get sick, pretty obvious. And then death can't die, technically, when death is awake. And that's because death has this complicated job of where death is, in my world, death is not interpreted as just the literal form of death. Death is interpreted by a bridge between life and afterlife. So death technically takes you to the afterlife, and death can also technically take you back from the afterlife and basically reincarnate you, essentially. That's how it works in my world. But in order to travel between these two worlds, it essentially has to do with sleeping. So when death falls asleep in the mortal world, death goes on a little trip over to the spirit world for a little while until they go to sleep there, and then they come back. But whenever they are asleep, it's basically considered that their body no longer has its soul in it, essentially. So that means that whenever death is asleep, you can kill death. And also, death can't really be woken up by anything. Death can only wake up when death decides to wake up.
Which, didn't you say too, when death wakes up, death has to, go to sleep, in the other world?
Yes, exactly. So, like,
The spirit world.
yes. So, death can die, but not when they're awake. If they are awake, they can't. They're immune to basically everything. So, that's our premise here. They also can like talk to certain animals, but that doesn't even come up much. So anyway, so that's the four horsemen, and the reason why in their past lives, like way in history, they were considered villains is because when you're set up to basically have a shitty life, no matter so long as you grow up with your birth family, you're kind of set up to have a villain backstory.
And you can never have normal relationships with people.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course, because your kisses do fucked up things. So,
Yeah.
By the way, hello, Zilla of Neptune. I don't know why this was recommended to you, but hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
This is mostly an art channel where we're doing a recap.
I don't know what it is anymore. I hardly post.
Okay.
I need to post more, but it's okay. But YouTube does not make me want to post very much. But, it's okay. We're not bitter about it. We're not bitter. What are you talking about? So, anyway. Anyway, I was saying that, so that's the premise we're starting with. And because of, like, in the past, some of them grow up and do bad things, or what they do could be considered bad in concept. It leads to this entire cycle of, like, now people assume they're bad, so when the baby's born, the baby isn't, like, inherently evil, but, like, because everyone assumes they're inherently evil and treats them as such, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of, like, well, now I guess I have to be evil, Like, so for years, that was the cycle where the horsemen caused a lot of problems. And on top of that, they because they are horsemen, what do they need? Why they need horses?
They need the horses. They need hoofs.
They need the horses. So each horseman has a horse, and these horses have lived for millions of years and have seen every incarnation of every horseman that has ever lived, and their entire sole purpose in existing is to protect their horsemen.
Yeah, they can't die.
Yeah, and they can't die. They are technically indestructible. They can be, like, incapacitated, but they're, like, technically indestructible. And
I picture it's like, and this sounds bad, but it's one of those things where it's like, if one of them was to somehow lose a leg, it would just kind of, like, instantly grow back with a comedic pop.
At some point, yes. Or I'd probably grow it back more slowly, because I don't want to make them that overpowered, but,
That's true.
But they're pretty powerful.
And no, I don't have a leg. Great.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole kind of point, is that they're part of the most destructive force that a horseman even has. But there's 4 of them, and I love them, and they're all based on different horses. And, yes. So, they have their horse skis. So, cut back to crackland time, and here we go. So, Naya was essentially
Naya was the little shit in the friend group. She was the little shit.
Followed at one point. They were in one of the mage towers. They were in the eastern tower, which is the spring tower, and they were following these 2 twins who are actually Kai's half siblings, but we don't talk about that. Kai has a lot of half siblings.
Kai comes from a big family.
Yes. So, she saw them, like, sneaking into the tower and decided to follow them, and basically helped them solve all these, like, tunnel puzzles, and, break into this room. And Naya is basically responsible for setting free the death spirit. But of course, because it's been fucking centuries since horsemen were even a problem, none of the mages had any idea what that door was or why it existed.
Yeah, but it's just a door.
Yeah, I should also highlight, though, that horsemen are, like, anti-magic, essentially. So, like, they, at their most powerful, they counteract magic effects, and they're immune to magic, or more immune to magic than normal people would be. They're the universal opposite of magic, essentially. But, like, so there was a brief second. It didn't go unnoticed, because there was a brief second, because April, leader of the Eastern Mage Tower, snarky-ass little lady, and she's deaf, but she's magic, so she's used her magic over the years to learn how to communicate telepathically with people, in order to quote-unquote hear, and which also leads to some interesting results because people can say whatever they want to her, but if she'll hear something totally different.
Yeah, she'll hear the actual thought.
Yeah, but there was a brief second where suddenly she was left in silence again.
Yeah.
And she freaked the fuck out because she had no idea why that happened. And
Oh yeah, because to them it was just a room. They didn't see anything, but Naya saw something.
oh boy. Yeah, well, she saw it for the brief second.
Oh yeah.
um and so off it went. And it was funny because this happened, and for like a year or so, no one really, or not for a while or so, no one really thought to do anything about it. Just happened. And then it basically became this trend of the other three getting released, because technically speaking up north, that tower was already, like, War was gonna get released eventually anyway.
Yeah.
It just took a while for that to actually happen because there's actual plot stuff involved with that in my world. But in turn, Siren, I remember, actually helped Lusa, which is the horse of plague.
Yeah, because Siren is a very odd character. She's like, because she's not evil, not even close to it, but she's also not really like, she's true neutral. Now that I think about it, Siren is a true neutral character.
Mm-hmm.
So to her, they were like, "Why'd you help him out?" And she's like, "Well, why not?"
Yeah, it'd be like that. Also,
Yeah,
I think it
so
was also because I swear,
I think she was being petty.
I'm pretty sure she was being petty because everyone was telling her, like, no, don't do that. And she's just like, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Because, yeah, I remember she and Lusa were like bros in a
Yeah,
weird
well, it's like, because
way.
Lusa was really chill, and he's like, I just want to free my master, okay? That's literally all I exist for. The other three horses have given up. I have not.
No, that's what it was. I remember what it was. I don't think it was that right away, but I remember they were like, because they were, the plot for Crackland at that time was all the adults are now trying to figure out what was up with these doors and figure out what was happening. And Siren kind of just like left for a second to everybody else. And she came back with this key.
Yeah, because each of the doors have different levels of keys.
Yeah. And they were like, how long did that take? I think she said something like 70 years or something like really
Oh
crazy.
yeah, she says something like it took me like 70 something years to go get the fucking keys.
Yeah, she's like, and I found one. Because it was like, and then she just kind of plopped it on the table and then just went to go do something.
Yeah, but then like she went to pass out.
Oh yeah,
she had to freeze time to do it. So,
yeah, so
anyway.
she was like, I'm tired. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so she ends up like helping Lusa release Plague, so that's fun. And then War already happened, and then Famine got released because there was an attack on the Western Tower because of a certain somebody who's a little bitch.
Yeah,
who teamed up with someone else who was a fucking bastard.
Yeah, and at that same time, during that attack,
at a conveniently same time,
can be like literally at the same time, and Tybalt, my boy, he gets shot, and
it was at a second where the bond between him and Noelle was broken, so he didn't have her immortality for that brief second.
Yeah.
And what does Gabe say to his father dying? No.
Well, no, because what happened was, because he died for like a split second. Noelle brought him back, but he was in a coma. Remember? Because his soul was gone, and Noelle was really upset. Other people were really upset. Gabe didn't understand why his dad was awake, but not.
No, I thought her powers didn't work in that moment because she would have saved him if they were. Because I'm pretty sure Gabe in that moment.
It was Gabe. It was Gabe.
He had such an intense feeling of no.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
So he just because the whole coma thing, that was something else.
Okay.
That was because that happened. I think that happened before Gabe. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I'm just dumb.
Because I know what you're talking about with the coma thing, where they were all in comas for like a week.
No, because they weren't in comas. But I remember Tybalt coming back and it messing Gabe up because he wasn't like himself. He wasn't around. And then Gabe gave him one more big thing, and he just kind of Tybalt's back to being himself because he made an art of it. Okay, maybe I'm. It's okay. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. But yeah, that was when
No,
Tybalt.
no.
Yep.
What happened with the whole like the coma-y things was that they got a bunch of like all the mages got like their souls stolen.
That's right.
And then it
That's
was for a
right.
week, and then they finally, or they had the things back, and they're like, how do we put them back? And then they figured out how, and it was sweet, it was
Yes,
cute and
yes.
shit.
You're
Anyway,
very wrong. You're very right. I was wrong.
yes.
Sorry.
So anyway, but no, it was because Tybalt died. Gabe was like, no.
Yeah, Tybalt. That was when Gabe. And whenever anybody mentioned death or dying, even in the distance, if Gabe would hear it, he would just scream.
He just freak out.
Yeah. So
He did
yeah.
not like death.
So in that moment, Tybalt's soul technically got a copy because
Yeah,
the real Tybalt soul, it's still Tybalt. It's just complicated.
yeah. It's just,
Um,
it's not him.
Yeah, it's not him. It's like two of him just kind of split into two versions.
Yeah.
So there was a version that now shared a conscious with fucking famine.
So it was this strange case of a horseman's soul and Tybalt's death happening at such a precise moment that they basically entered the exact same kid at the exact same time,
And now
which
for the
happened
rest
to
of
be little
eternity,
farm girl Francine.
yeah, and the best part is I remember because famine was confused because it's not how it works because like how it works for my mages is when they're reborn, they're in this kind of weird limbo consciousness of their new life where they get to like kind of watch over their new life. They can't do anything. They're just like in this weird stasis where they get to watch over their new life up until they're 13.
Yeah, so like it's
So,
literally these two souls just show up, look at each other, like, who the fuck are you? Like,
yeah, who the fuck are you? The fuck is this?
yeah, it was like so. Franny is just the weirdest like freak of nature that like ever could happen, and it was like one in a million. Because not only did that have to like die at the precise moment, but even Franny not having any mage blood in her DNA was a reason why it could happen. Because
That's right, yeah, because in my world, only 100% pure human blood can have a mage.
yes, but by technicality, my
Yeah.
world's mages, it's a genetic thing. They're still human.
Hmm.
So technically, one of my mages could also be one of your world's mages
Yes.
by technicality. However, in my world, horsemen can't have magic blood, period.
Yeah.
So they must be pure non-mage human, essentially.
Hmm.
So Franny was that. So that was also like a one in a million chance
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah.
Um,
Not even that. Probably like one in a trillion. Like
yeah,
Franny
oh
was
yeah.
that weird genetic lottery.
It was bizarre. And so, oh, Franny, that was just her life. So there we go. And then in the meantime, there were other kids that because that afterwards they like finally understood what the horsemen were. That's when they went on their missions about we need to find the other horsemen. Although I remember it was like Tybalt who was like, you need to go find your next life because it's your next life.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Huh?
Yeah. Tybalt was like, I just got lucky.
Yeah. No, it's like just squints and it's like I don't think that yellow is supposed to be there
Yeah.
in the eyes.
Yeah. And then but the kids started because Morgan showed up. Because remember
Yeah.
Morgan found them first.
Yeah. So like well, it was even like they didn't find Morgan until like 5 years later. Cuz they
Oh,
actually
that's right. No, you're
they
right. That's right.
they found Bella Tetsu and Zoella and Heather, I believe, all found Bella
Yes,
together.
that's right, because they got invited to like a royal party
Yeah,
or
and they
something.
had these little horse statues, and they're like, "Here, you want this?" And she touches it, and it glows around. They're like, "Found it!" Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, found one.
found one. And you could. It was sad because you could already see the family was starting to have some issues.
Yeah.
Cough,
Oh,
cough.
oh, I remember that. And then I remember because Baby Bella kissed Tetsu, and it was in that moment that Heather and Zoella were like, it's a good thing she's not evil,
Yeah, it's a real good thing.
because since Tetsu at that point, for reasons she literally can't show extreme aggression for reasons.
Cough, cough.
She can have extreme passion, and they were like, "Okay, honey, you need to calm down."
Gosh,
Like,
so there was that, and then I know some point they found. Oh no, that's right. Mordecai had Lusa kidnap Noelle.
that's right, yeah.
Because I want the best doctor in the world to teach me how to do doctor things.
Mm-hmm. And then that
Oh,
was the whole
Mordecai.
thing.
Mordecai, you were so filled with hopes and dreams, and then everything had to go wrong.
Everything. You know what's really sad? Out of all of the horsemen, he was the most horseman passed.
Oh yeah, he fell into the most like patterns of the past, essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
It also didn't help that when like and then his relationship is also really weird.
yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like it's not like the horses actually help much. They're kind of more enablers than they are like true
Oh yeah.
friends. But you
Yeah,
know,
they are much more along the line of servants, but happy servants.
yes, very very complicit, okay with the situation, servants.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and then they found Morgan because it was cute and it was sad.
Yeah, because Morgan ended up finding them.
Yeah, because
Uh
please help my sister.
yeah, it's like, oh, my sister's not doing well.
She
Oh.
won't wake up. Morgan's sad. And then, but it's okay because Morgan got adopted by Ringmaster and it was the cutest shit.
Well, he very much did. Well, that was another thing because that was another thing where it was kind of it was one of those like more messed up funny things where it was like they were all talking because they had to figure out what was going to happen with death because they found death, and they were like, we can't have him here. There's too much of a chance that he might accidentally kill somebody.
Mm-hmm. Well, also they didn't quite know how horsemen even worked at that point, so they didn't know if
Yeah,
him staying there would mean that other people are cursed with death or something like that.
exactly. So they were like trying to like just
Plus, because they found out how his kisses worked because he kissed Kai and Kai died for a second.
That's right. That's
Again.
right. And then, oh no, I remember that. And then he kissed Naya, and her hair turned white for reasons. And they were all like, "Okay."
Well, it's like we don't know if we can manage this because
Yeah,
no one wanted to tell him that his kisses killed people.
because he was a good kid. He was a literal kid. He was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, he was like 5 years old, and he's a sweet baby child who wants nothing, who loves flowers,
Yes,
and wants
he's
nothing
very-
but good things to happen in the world.
Yes, and so they were all trying to think of where he could go, and it all came down to Ringmaster. And Ringmaster at first, he was a little against it because Ringmaster does not like things messing with his magic.
He
Even though
like
he is
literally
really
like same
powerful.
like in the same room like why don't my powers feel as strong as they usually are? Like
Yeah, it's like, which is a weird thing because now that I think about it, this is like a tangent real quick. No one's gonna get this, but that's something I realized is I'm like, you know what's sad?
what?
That means like if a Deddy was to get away from Morty to have to go do something, I have a feeling her power because she's so used to being around him, they're married and they love each other.
Mhm.
I feel like her powers would be more like out of control.
Whoops.
They would go to like heal somebody and then they would accidentally get like de-aged down or something. And she'd be like, well, that's not right. And then like move somewhere and just start flying. Well, that's really not right.
I love it so
Because
much.
she just got like so used to it that her body like evened out.
Yeah. Gosh,
So
but yeah.
anyway, that's for later. Sorry, that was something I just realized. So,
But Morgan, moral of the story is Morgan is a cute baby, and
Yeah.
Ringmaster
Well, no,
adopted him.
I think we should explain how he adopted him though, and then maybe we
Oh, that's right.
because it was really fucked up and funny. So, Ringmaster pretty much ended up like talking to Morgan, and everyone was a little surprised because Ringmaster usually just takes anybody in. So for him to like think about it was kind of like everyone was like, shit, man.
Like shit.
So Ringmaster comes back out after talking to Morgan, and he's like, all right, I give you 2 weeks to find his horse, or I'm gonna smother the kid. And then he just vanished.
Yeah, and he just took the kid and left.
And they were like, he's not serious, right? And then Siren, being Siren, is like, well, he has killed people in the past. And then they're all like, wait, he did what?
Fuck.
And she's like, well, it was no one important. They were just knights. And it's like, what?
So it became this quest of them frantically running around trying to find his horse.
Trying to find his horse, yeah. And meanwhile, Morgan is having the best time at the circus. He just everybody loves him. He's welcomed in with open arms.
He learns how to peel potatoes.
Peel potatoes and collect trash.
Yeah. Like any good circus boy.
Yeah, because Ringmaster's like, only rule is you gotta help out. Everyone helps out in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, he's such a good boy.
So, but yeah, so then they're on this adventure of the Tybalt and Noel just stressing the fuck out trying to find this horse. Because now in the back of their heads, they're like, oh god, he's gonna kill this kid, and we did this, and so.
Just like, ah, shit.
And then they end up finding the beautiful Babel.
They don't even find her. She finds them and is like,
Oh,
hey.
she found them? Oh,
So
okay.
because she literally walked into the castle and she's this creepy, like, anorexic looking woman, and she's just like, it's just like, I'm looking for my child, I'm looking for my master. And it's like,
Oh, that's right.
and it's just like, pardon? It's just like, does your master happen to be, like, small and pale with black hair? Does he have white eyes? Yeah, yes. Where is he? Bring him to me.
Yeah. And they're like, oh crap, we're running out of time. So they clock to get her over there. And then they get her there. And Ringmaster's there looking at his not pocket watch. Because he treats it like a pocket watch, and a lot of people think it's a pocket watch. It's not a pocket watch, but that's other reasons.
Yeah.
And so he's looking at his not pocket watch. And they're like, we found her. We found the horse. We're good. And he's like, oh, but you're like 2 minutes too late. And he just snaps his fingers, and they all freak out. And then flowers just come from nowhere and just smother the poor kid.
And he's just like laughing and joy, and both Tybalt and Noel, it's like, we want to die. Like,
And yeah, and Ringmaster, in his fashion, he turns to them in like a very exaggerated, offended way, and it's like, I didn't say smothered in what? You two have a demented mind.
how could you think I would kill this child? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he is now my son.
Oh, I love them.
And that seems like a good place to stop off for here.
I would agree.
Alright, so thank you guys for the small amount of people that were here. We love you because you guys did stick it through to the end. We stayed at least
Somehow.
But we love you. Thank you for the Crackland recap. Many smetches.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.